Somlomo. I wish to start by acknowledging the President's pledge in his State of the Nation address to ensure a focus on better distribution of personnel and other resources to police stations. The Democratic Alliance has long diagnosed that a key obstacle to having an effective police service that reduces crime is the full use of under-resourcing, understaffing, under-training, and under-equipping at station level. This has often resulted in a shortage of personnel to staff community service centres across the country, which means that far too often members of the public walk into police stations only to find an empty front desk. These are the people for whom the DA fights to ensure a more effective police service. Under-equipping has resulted in a shortage of vehicles to conduct crime prevention sector patrols and to respond to dispatch call-outs in crime scenes. It is not uncommon for our people to have to wait 3 or 4 hours or more for the police to arrive after a call to the 10111 hotline. Just last year, I had to assist with the case of a family in Nyanga, where they waited more than 12 hours overnight for the police to arrive after they reported the rape of their young daughter. It was only after I contacted the station commander requesting urgent action that a vehicle was dispatched. It is these families for whom the DA fights to ensure a more effective police service. Therefore, addressing the four used at station level will go some way to reducing the unresponsiveness and unprofessionalism found in too many stations, which are meant to be the coalface of police service delivery. Police stations are where the public should feel they can go when they are at their most vulnerable and leave feeling better that the violation of their rights will result in justice being done, especially for marginalized people such as lesbian, gay, and transgender individuals and sex workers. Instead, for many, a police station is the last place they would want to go, and they go only when they absolutely need to. The prospects of having to enter a police station is a source of anxiety, and the experience of it is one of frustration. But, Mr. President, getting more personnel and vehicles to stations will only be the first step in a long road to improving the SAPS. That alone will do little good if our detective service remains in distress, with investigators being overburdened with caseloads of between 100 to 150 dockets, some as many as 300 dockets. It is for these officers left to languish under unsuitable working conditions that the DA fights to ensure a more effective police service. Addressing the four U's alone will do little good if our crime intelligence remained in crisis, with incompetent leadership, floundering in dysfunction, its resources being mismanaged. An effective crime intelligence division is the only way to tackle and reduce organized crime, because the syndicates driving it must be identified, tracked, infiltrated, disrupted, and neutralized to stop their criminal activities. Now, I believe most members of this House seek the same ends, namely improved governance and delivery. While the governing party has the opportunity to do so as a result of being in power, the opposition also seeks to contribute by proposing reforms and alternative policies which we hope to persuade the government to adopt or at least consider. And so, Mr. President, in the spirit of the optimism and hope of which you spoke in your State of the Nation address, and encouraged by the confidence you seek to inspire, I would like to table what we as the DA believe is still missing from your plans to fight crime. Firstly, we would like to see you impress upon the police minister the urgency of instituting a national policing board, as recommended in the National Development Plan. This would be a multidisciplinary, independent body of experts who would set and review standards for, as well as play a key role in senior appointments of the police top brass, in order to address what the NDP itself calls the serial crisis of top leadership in the police. The age of discretionary appointments, opening the door to favoritism and cronyism, must come to an end in the police service. All selection and promotion processes must happen on the basis of merit to ensure fit-for-purpose, qualified, and competent police leadership. This fundamental reform must be the foundation for the professionalization of the police service, because almost everything else to improve police performance depends on it. Secondly, we are calling for a concerted effort to entrench specialization in the police service through the capacitation of existing specialized units, such as the FCS and stock theft units, coupled with the creation of sorely needed new units that the DA has long advocated for, especially rural safety units to combat violent crimes on farms and smallholding, as well as anti-gang units in the Western and Eastern Cape. Thirdly, Mr. President, we are advocating for expedited implementation of localization in the management of the police service, empowering station and cluster commanders with decision-making authority and the means to devise and drive crime-fighting strategies that are customized to their contexts without being hamstrung by overly centralized bureaucracy, but held properly accountable for their performance in line with international best practice. If these three fundamental pillars of police reform are implemented, we will support them wholeheartedly, because they will lead to improved policing and reductions in crime. However, where your government does fall short, we will point out what is wrong, as is our duty as the opposition. We will not relent in our efforts to ensure adequate care for our cops, as well as adequate care for crime victims, in order to realize the DA's values of freedom, fairness, and opportunity. NgoLwesihlanu odlule, uMongameli uthe masimthume. With these proposals from the DA, sifuna ukumthuma in the right direction. Ngiyabonga.